to start going into the fivefold ministry gifts. Really, this is not talked about a lot in a lot of churches. So um, we just went through the comfortable gifts that most people will talk about. And as comfortable as everybody is with those gifts, people are still not really all that active in those. The ones that we just went through, the most comfortable gifts. And there's still a very large confusion between being active in the church, like doing something in the church, finding something to do. There's still some confusion there, I think, between being active in your gift and just being active in the church. So I really hope as we continue to go through this that we learn that there is a definite difference between helping out at church and doing things and actually walking in your gift, in your God-given gift, and doing things, because there's a lot of positions, a lot of things that have to be done in the church, and all of those things are important. And if people did not do them, the church wouldn't run very well. But that doesn't mean that we're supposed to forget about the gifts, the positions, the main stuff that Jesus knew had to take place within people for the church to thrive in the way he wanted it to. Not just in the ideas that people get in their mind on how a church is supposed to run, what it means for a church to be thriving. Jesus knows what it takes at the core. So what did he do? He gave us tools. Now we just went through the most comfortable ones. Those are the most comfortable ones, yet there's tons of people who aren't active in this. Now we're going to go into the fivefold ministry gifts. These are the core. These are the core gifts. We're going to go into Ephesians. All right, so we're going to be in Ephesians 4. And so Ephesians goes into the work of the ministry, okay? It goes over the primary purposes, the jobs that Christ had aligned for people to do, and the start of the church, and what people were supposed to be doing. So, and it goes into the unity of the faith and the importance of that unity, and to be able to reach, all right, listen very closely, to be able to reach unity of faith, unity of understanding, and because, especially during end times, there are going to be so many people led astray to, I actually just posted something today about doctrines of devils. Okay, there's going to be so much false doctrine. There's going to be so many things that lead people away from the true faith. And because of that, this is not new stuff, okay? When Paul was writing Ephesians, Ephesus was, they're just throwing rocks down there. Ephesus and Corinth were two of the main transport areas. Like, people would travel through those areas. Like they were the main areas that people were traveling through. So they're like highly trafficked and trafficked. Sorry,
it's like Atlanta and Dallas. Those were the main two hubs in the South for airplanes. But that'd be a good example.
Good example, yeah. So, but one of the big things is there was so much paganism going on there. Like Paul of course was supposed to be preaching to the Gentiles. So his whole ministry was targeting areas where paganism was just rampant. So this is not new. Like what's going to happen in end times, and needing the stability of people holding it down, holding down truth, guiding people correctly, making sure that they're not falling away from the faith. That is not new stuff. We see it in Ephesians. We see Paul having to I don't want to say baby these people. He was, what's the word I could say? I mean, he was really cradling these Christians. He was really trying to make sure they were staying on the right path. That was his. It wasn't only bringing people to Christ. It was discipling them and making sure that they didn't get pulled away in the middle of this area that they lived, because there was just so much going on. So when we look at gifts and anyone even insinuates that these gifts aren't needed anymore, it makes me crazy, because of the mere fact that the world didn't get easier. The world did not get easier. There were not people that needed something more then, and it isn't needed now. So if we don't start putting an importance on these gifts and these tools, then we're not going to be able to be the church in the way that God designed it. He designed the church, and if any of these especially the foundational apostles, if they had gone out and tried to begin the church in any other way than in God's design, it would not have lasted. We can't hold on to people unless we do it right. So in Ephesians chapter 4, I'm just going to kind of start out with this, just simply because I think we need to hear it. So Ephesians 4:12, it talks about to equip the saints for the work of ministry, for building up the body of Christ until we all attain to the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, to mature manhood, to the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ. Okay, that's Ephesians 4:12. And as we, I'm probably going to back up just a little bit, because I just think that is I don't know. I feel like it jumps out to me. If we back up just a little bit, okay, to verses 7 and 8. But grace was given to each of us according to the measure of Christ's gift. Therefore it says, when he ascended on high, he had a host of captives, and he gave gifts to men. In saying he ascended, what does it mean but that he had also descended into the lower regions? Now this is Paul talking. And he's saying, in saying that he ascended, what does it mean but that he also descended into the lower regions of the earth? He who descended is the one who also ascended far above all the heavens, that he might fill all things. And he gave the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the shepherds, and the teachers to equip the saints for the work of the ministry, for building up the body of Christ until we all attain to the unity of the faith and the knowledge of the Son of God, to mature manhood, to the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ. So, if we notice this, it lists the fivefold ministry there. Those are what we're going to be going over. Whenever you hear those words, you think of the main core positions in churches. You think of, the people who are starting churches. You think of church planners. You think of people doing ministry. You think of people doing ministry outside of the church. You think of teachers within the church. You think of teachers outside of the church doing, other side ministry. That's what you think of. And so you think of them doing the work. But that's not what it's supposed to just be about. They are preparing the rest of the church who has also been gifted to do the work of ministry. to bring more people to the kingdom. These people have a very big job to do, but so do the people that they are preparing. So these 5 jobs are not meant to, oh, they're the ones doing all the work. They are the ones that are preparing everyone else who has also been gifted to go out and do what they're supposed to do. So when we go into this, let's not just look at it as, oh, these people are the ones, the main ones. If you don't feel like you have one of these gifts and you just think, oh, please don't think, because for one, it might turn out that you do. But for two, we have to understand each other's gifts, and we have to understand that these gifts right here, again, are preparing other people to do the work that they're supposed to do. And we all have these jobs that we're supposed to be doing. And then there's other people who help us grow.